You were nice and early, which is great because now I get to talk to you. I got my new, and I'll show this off when more people get here, but I got my plug-in here, and it seems to be working just great. I don't think you could hear it, but it made like a low when I pulled it out. So that's looking awesome. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, that's great. So good stuff. Alrighty. Hope everybody's doing great tonight. I hope everybody's having a lovely and safe Memorial Day weekend. Hey, Bruce. I hope you're all gonna have a wonderful barbecue and whatever else tomorrow, and celebrate Memorial Day and everybody that it honors. So yeah, been a beautiful long weekend here in SoCal. Nice and sunny and beautiful, and just like not too hot, not too cold. Love that like Goldilocks weather that we get this time of year. So before long it'll be brutally hot out. I also hope that everybody likes my shirt that is actually written backwards but reversed in the camera. This is from I Like to Make Stuff, one of my favorite YouTube channels. Bob Claggett does great work, and I thought that this was the perfect shirt to wear in a live stream. So, especially since we solve problems here every week. Yeah, Bri, this is great, dude. This is freaking awesome, man. Sorry that I never messaged you back. To be honest, the last couple of weeks have been chaos here. Trying to get those machines moved in, which I'll show you guys the progress there. It's not a lot of progress, but it's progress. So, yeah. Tonight, we are going to be doing an X-Acto knife. I just so happened to have this really beautiful Purple Rain blank. Forgot what it was called for a second. So this is our Purple Rain mix. This is one of Savannah's specialties. I have the hiccups. I'm very sorry. So this is one of Savannah's specialty mixes that I just think is a total knockout. So we have that ready to go, and I got my bushings and everything. There's not a lot of folks here yet. Oh, a bunch of people just showed up. Okay, cool. So hi everybody. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I had a blank picked out to drill for you. I was going to do it cooking show style, and I was going to drill one. We would glue it, and then I would have one already made that we could work on. But the one I pulled to drill is already drilled, and it's already drilled for an X-Acto. So that was silly. But at this point, you guys know how to drill stuff, so I'm not going to bore you with that. Bore. But it is an 8mm bore on the inside of your blank for a particularly long tube on these. I forget exactly how long these tubes measure, but as you can see, the 8mm bore is perfect. And of course, I always like using epoxy and not CA glue. Let's get a quick measurement on that tube, because I know that this is a particularly long tube. I just don't exactly remember how long. So it's like 9. Sorry. It's about 95.5 millimeters, but you guys don't care about that. It is about 3 3/4. So it's pretty long. One of the things I do recommend is, if you're able to, get yourself a extra long drill bit for these. You can get sets of 8mm that are longer than normal. I think my 8mm that came standard with the rest of my bits is like only 3 inches long. So that wouldn't work for these, so I do have a set of the extra long ones, which really helps. But since we're not going to be drilling tonight, I will take all of that stuff off of the lathe, and we can just go ahead and start with the turning. So let me flip you guys around while I do this. So, there you go. So we want to get all this stuff off of here. And we're going to put in our live center and our dead center, if I can find where I put it. Well, it's got to be around here somewhere. Come on, man. You ever just, like, make a mess and then feel like you can't get on the right side of that mess? That's how I feel right now. Dang it. Hang tight. Ah, there it is. I had to put something on top of it like a chump. Keep your workspace clean, guys. This is ridiculous. Do as I say, not as I do. I had a mentor years ago who would tell me that all the time. And she was a senior in college when I was a freshman, and so we were in the same program in college, and so she was somebody that I really looked up to, and we still hang out. But she always said, do as I say, not as I do. So these are our X-Acto bushings. These are turn between center bushings, which of course our friend Brian specializes in. These are the same bushings as some other kit, but I can't remember off the top of my head what that kit is. Yo, Robert Duditsky in the house. Hey, Dawn. Vinny. What's up, everybody? Wow, it's a party now. It's a party now. But yeah, of course, our friend... thank you, Brian. Tiny Giant. They are the same as the Tiny Giant bushings, which you can get from Brian, or you can get from us. They are pretty much the same. I have never made the Tiny Giant, which is why I could not remember what kit we were talking about. So I'm going to get this lathe cranked up to just about 3,000 RPMs. And we're going to start with our round cutter to get this thing concentric. Because as much as I'm pretty sure I drilled it all the way, it's definitely got a little bit of a... Right, I drilled it all the way, duh. I just mean I drilled it centered. It's got a little bit of a... some of those. Robert, you didn't move again, did you? You just mean like you moved recently, right? I miss you, pal. Alright, I got my tool rest up a little too high here. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, dude, it's definitely been too long. Alright. Yeah, it's been over a year since I've been to a show, so I haven't seen anybody. And not only that, but my local Rockler closed. So, like, I've really been all by myself. Dude, you better get on that. Alright. So now that we're round, not that that took that long, one of the things that I do is I kind of like the same sort of proportions on each of these. So a lot of times I'll take one I've already turned and I'll use that as a template. So that's a hump and that's a hump. That one's going to go all the way the bushing. That one's going to go all the way the bushing. Then about center is where we're going to carve that out. So then I'll just do a little bit of that. And then I got to find this one again. Yeah, there we go. And that gives me my template. And of course, this one is really only rough turned. It's clearly way too chunky. So if we have time, maybe we'll take that one down a little bit too. But for reference, not that you ever have to follow exactly what I'm doing, but the first chamfer, it's about half an inch down, maybe a little less. And then the belly starts at 2.13, and then obviously that's in the middle of those two, which I clearly marked it off center, but it should probably be 1.3 or so. So what I'll do is I'll start by doing my cove here, and then I'll get my 2 beads going, and then taper these ends. So we'll go a little off of this mark. So now we kind of have that grip section roughed out. And I have, and obviously not everybody has this tool, but I have this radiused square cutter. And I really like this for moves like this, for getting this nice and smooth. You really find your high spots with this sort of tool. You can see how much smoother that is already. So now we can put that guy away. And I'm going to start tapering down this guy and that guy. So now I'm going to finish with my square cutter. Come here, you. To get this really straightened out here. So we need to go a little bit further on both bushings. Actually, this one is pretty dang close, so really just that one. Hey, Pymie, welcome to the party. So that looks pretty great. We're nice and flush everywhere, so. And even though that was nice and quick, we're not going to polish this just yet. Because to be honest, I've had this bad boy in there for a while, and it's only roughed out because this was from a demonstration. So let's go ahead and shape this hempwood one as well. Because it's been sitting around for so long, and I don't have any idea when this was glued up, I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of thin CA before we start. And that way I'll be... Sorry, I'm getting out finger cots. So I'm just going to use the thin CA basically as an insurance policy, because I don't know how long this has been sitting in there. And you can tell it's out of round. So, because I'm pretty sure I did this for a... This was for a demonstration somewhere. Alrighty. So now let's go ahead and turn this bad boy, and hopefully it doesn't blow up on us, because who knows how old this thing is. It has been sitting in my shop that is not climate controlled. And even though it is stabilized, hempwood is finicky. certainly getting there. Very nice. I just want to make it a little thinner, put it on a little bit of a diet, because I feel like it's very chunky up in here. So let's see. I'm just going to put a fresh side and rotate my carbide cutter to get a fresh edge so that we can hopefully slim this baby down a little bit. Because a bit chunky. Feels like it's trying to chip. Maybe not. It doesn't feel like it took anything out, but I didn't like the sound it was making. Alright. Yeah, I did take a little bit of a chip out right there. Just a tiny one. So let's just go ahead and turn past that, and then I think we can call it good. Yeah, not quite there yet. You can still kind of feel it. Let's see. Yeah, I can't really feel it anymore. I think sanding will take it out. And just see that dark spot where the glue is. So let's go ahead and sand this bad boy. But first I want to move it on to a different set of bushings, because I don't like sanding with my nice steel TBC bushings. So instead what I do is I actually use these much crappier kind of TBC mandrel things, and the nylon bushings, and that helps. Or I guess HDPE, whatever these are, Delrin, something like that. And what's nice about that is that these are cheap and they are replaceable. And if you sand them down a little bit or you get glue on them or whatever, they're easy to clean. They're easy to replace. So, I use them for pretty much everything. So, we're going to start with a little bit of 240 grit Abranet. I love Abranet. I especially love it on hempwood. It's good stuff. I'm going to turn the lathe down to about 1100-ish. 1200. Skipping a little bit. Let me just crank that. So I think we have an interesting problem. Yep. Like I said, this particular blank had been sitting in the drawer for an extremely long time, and I think, yep, my suspicions were correct. The tube came loose. So I clearly did not do a very good job gluing this bad boy. So, how do we fix that? I'm glad you asked. We're gonna glue it. And I know I said I don't like CA glue. And I don't. But, if I glue this with epoxy the way I want to, it'll have to dry overnight. And it will, well, it will be better. All right, you convinced me. Yeah, I know. This is, like I said, it had been sitting in the drawer for an extremely long time. So let's just epoxy it. Let's do it the right way. I have this bad habit. Hold on, I'm reading comments. Okay. So, I have this bad habit. Please excuse my... Sorry, I hit the lock button on the phone. So, let me just get you guys sorted here. Alrighty. So, I have a bad habit of using shortcuts on the live streams because I feel like there's pressure to get things done quick. But there's really not. So, let's just do it the right way. Please excuse my mess. I glued all these up for orders earlier, so they are now cured, but they are in the way. And then, let's see, this isn't quite cured enough to pop off of here, but yeah. Got most of it. It pops off of here a lot easier if it's fully cured. But it's good enough for government work, as they say. So, I'm just grabbing a new thing of JB Weld. And we've got that guy. And let's go ahead and glue that one up too while we're here. So. I just want to poke a hole in this because it's a little bit gummed up. You can kind of see that this one had a little bit of a clog. That happens. There it goes. Oh, that's probably way too much, but that's okay. I prefer the Michael Jackson approach when gluing. Single glove. And we mix thoroughly. Probably should have gone on a fresher part of this plastic because it's kind of like getting caught on the cured epoxy from earlier today, but that's okay. We'll make it work. All right. Oops. All right. So what I like to do, this is a popsicle stick that's been cut in half, and I like to use this to get all up in there. And make sure I'm getting full coverage. For most kits, you don't have to cut the stick in half, but these 8mm bore kits are a little thin for a regular popsicle stick, and of course we're going to have to clean up the outside of this bad boy when we're done, because I'm definitely going to get epoxy all over it, but it is a small price to pay for a better glue joint. And I can almost guarantee that when I did this one the first time, I probably glued it in haste the morning that I left for a show to go to Mid-Atlantic or SWAT or something else, because I probably turned this at whatever event that was. And then in my haste, I probably didn't glue it very well. And then it flew wherever while not fully cured, because I almost always end up doing these the morning of the event. So it probably was not fully cured while in transit, and then it went up in the air and back down to an entirely different climate with entirely different humidity, and then got turned, and then went back up and back down, back to Los Angeles. So with that amount of stress put on the blank, I'm not entirely surprised that it's separated from the tube. And while it is unfortunate, it is also fixable. So now those can cure, and it's a great use of this little tiny crapola sized hybrid, which was definitely like an offcut of a block that we cut incorrectly, which is why it's so dang tiny. But that ended up fitting really nicely. So back over to the lathe. I can get you guys switched back around, and we can go ahead and polish our, what is this? Purple Rain. Hold on, I'm on the volume trigger. All right. Okie dokie. So, yeah. Sorry, I swear I know the names of our blanks. It's just, you know, there's a lot of them, and sometimes I forget. But this one is definitely Purple Rain. It's like 5 different shades of purple. And I like it a lot. It's one of my favorites. And it's one of those ones that sells out very quickly, typically, when we make it. So let me just grab our plastic sheet, and this is going to be perfect for making sure that we don't get water on our cast iron, because water means rust, and rust is no bueno. So here we go. All right. So we're nice and smooth. We don't really need to take any mass off of this. So we can just go ahead and start with the Zona paper and not use the Abranet. Get that very thoroughly wetted. And if you have questions so far, just go ahead and do the thing in the chat, because obviously sanding and polishing is obviously the most fun part of any of these processes. And it doesn't even have to be a question about this kit. It can be about the new machines. It can be about turning, finishing, whatever, you know. You guys know that I'm an open book, and I'm more than happy to help with anything that you need. I may not always be qualified, but I will certainly try. Alrighty. Oh, God, I love that. I'm just going to grab a shop towel real quick, because I prefer to dry the blank between grits, because I don't want all of that, I guess it's not swarf when it's like from sanding, but whatever, all the schmutz that comes off of it for that first grit, you know, is going to be more abrasive than the schmutz that comes off with the second grit, and I don't want that to affect our polish, if that makes sense. It's also why I use fresh water in a squirt bottle instead of dipping into a container. I see a lot of people do the dip method into a container of water, but then you're just dipping your Zona paper into dirty water, and that dirty water has schmutz from sanding your blank. So I just don't find that to be a logical way of doing things. But I'm also a very big proponent of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if it works for you, who am I to tell you otherwise? This color in particular, this kind of medium purple that's in here, is probably my favorite. But then we have this dark purple that's very it's kind of like a witch's brew kind of purple, and I like that one a lot too. The other thing that's nice about this blank is that each of the colors have a different level of sparkly to them. So you get a lot of contrast, even though it's all purple, which I think Savannah did a really nice job with. Paimi, I don't exactly work in the movie industry. I work in the themed entertainment industry. So I get why that might be confusing, because I work for Paramount Pictures. But I work in the division of Paramount Pictures that does theme parks and hotels and restaurants and things like that. We're called location-based entertainment. And so basically we own, Paramount, we as in Paramount, has the rights to all the Nickelodeon properties. So anytime anybody wants to use SpongeBob or Paw Patrol or Dora the Explorer or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or any of the other Nickelodeon properties, Garfield is part of that also. They can license that through us, and then our group also does a lot of the design work for things like that. And then on the Paramount side, we have Star Trek, Mission Impossible, Top Gun, what else? some really nice classics like The Godfather. Um, Trying to think of what some of the other ones are. A lot of old westerns. We have a lot of old westerns. But then also like Emily in Paris and I don't know what else. But because it also seems to change all the time. Oh, A Quiet Place is another one that we do. So like for example, last year there's a thing. If you don't live in California or Florida, you might not know, but Universal does this thing called Halloween Horror Nights, right? Halloween Horror Nights, they basically build all of these amazing scare mazes, and they're themed to different things. And it's an insanely popular event that they do, right? So last year we licensed A Quiet Place to Halloween Horror Nights, and they were able to do a maze based off of a Quiet Place. I went through it before the park was open one day, and it was horrifying, and I hated it. I do not do scary stuff. So I guess it was great in that way. I thought it was like one of those things that I was like, okay, cool, I did it and never again. But we also just worked with Universal again on this thing called Fan Fest, which was basically the nerdy version of Halloween Horror Nights, and that was really fun. And some of you may have seen my photos with some of the Star Trek cast, because we licensed Star Trek to them for that, and we did all the design work. So that was a very long way of answering your question. The answer is no, I do not work in the movie industry. I work adjacent to it, in the themed entertainment industry, but my office is on the Paramount Pictures lot. That was a very long-winded response, but great question. I will also say that I have worked for Disney and Universal, and I opened Warner Brothers World in Abu Dhabi. So I've done a lot of different types of theme parks, for a lot of different intellectual properties. So that's kind of my main gig. I was an Imagineer for a bit, and honestly, I did Bullseye and Bow and Harrow, the finished products, full time for 4 years when COVID hit, and then Paramount called me a little over a year ago, and wanted to interview me for the position that they had available, and I missed doing it. I love being full-time in the shop, but also, like, there's something really fun about an opening night and being able to see guests experience a thing that you worked so hard on. So they suckered me back in. I thought I was out, and then they brought me back in. So real quick, because I moved a bunch of stuff around and I don't have my buffing wheel set up right now. We're just going to do whoa! Oh no, I broke everything. That's terrible. Okay, well oh no. Oh, I made it worse. Lord Jesus. Alright, well. Okay, so here's what you guys just missed. Here's what I was going to say. I was going to say that my buffing wheel is currently out of commission, and I'm out of magic juice. So I was going to use plastics to get a little shine on this bad boy, and then I dropped the plastics, and this bottle is so old that it just busted, and it is everywhere, including my shoe. So that's extremely unfortunate. So I'm going to throw this bottle away. Before I do, I'm going to get a little bit of it. And we're going to get this buffed up real quick. In case you don't know, the least abrasive thing that you have at your disposal is your fingertips. CNC setup is going great, Vinny. I will take you guys over there in a second. Ow, that was hot. Alright. So, that is looking beautiful and shiny. And just real quick before this all dries up, I'm gonna wipe up the mess I made. So, apologies, but I don't want this to like dry all over my workbench. So, give me a second here. It's very unfortunate. And it's all over my shoes. And they're kind of like the same texture as Timberlands, that like kind of work suede. So polishing compounds are not really the best thing to get on them. Oh man, it literally got everywhere. It's like, ugh, yuck. So, sorry that you guys are gonna have to watch me clean up. That bottle is so old too. That bottle is probably, oh no, my mug. Look at my mug. SoCal Turners Expo. Vintage. Oh god, I'm gonna have to clean all the pens in here too. This is where I keep all my like shop pens and pencils. Sharpies. Ugh. God. It's gross. It made such a mess. Ah, this is craziness. Well, that's one way to clean your workbench, kids. Alrighty, well that was fun. Let's not do that again, shall we? I'm gonna have to clean up all the pens and pencils later, but... Ugh. Gross. That was terrible. Alright. Let's move you guys. So, we're gonna come over here. Whoop! Drill press. And let's move some stuff around. Quite literally everything in the shop is a hot mess right now. The reason being, those machines that went in next door. Because they took up so much room that everything else in the shop had to move around. Oh, I still need this. Where's my finger? Okay. So let me bring you guys all up in here so you can see what's up. This is my vintage drill press. I love this thing. It is amazing. It is from the 50s, I think. It is a Delta made in the USA drill press. So, I absolutely love this thing. So, here's what we do. The only part of the X-Acto kit that you need to press in is this little guy. He's got these little, it's a cast aluminum piece. It's got these little nubbins. Goes into the business end. The aluminum knurls will likely shear off. Just a thing that happens. It's not something to be alarmed about. You can kind of see what was left behind from those shearing off. It's because it's cast, it's what gives it that tight fit. We are changing this design sometime soon. It'll be the same bushings and the same tubes and everything, but it'll be steel instead of aluminum, and so it'll press in like a normal kit. But that's all you have to do. So, here. Sorry, I didn't mean to flip you guys around. I meant to do that. All right. So then, you've got this little collet, basically. Put that guy down in there. Insert un blade. The kit comes with a blade. This blade had sawdust all over it. And then this little guy is threaded on the one end to receive that collet. So you want to be very careful here because you do have to hold the blade. I like to hold the back end, obviously. And what you're doing is threading this front piece into the end piece. I don't know, I haven't named these. And that's what'll grab that blade, and you can see those little splines tighten up and grab the X-Acto. And that's also what allows you to use different types of blades in this. So if you prefer a scalpel blade, or you prefer, you know, whatever, instead of this, which I think is the number 11 blade, number 11 American Standard. And there you go. And then the other thing is that the kit comes with a cap. So now you can be safe and secure and sexy. Which is great because I have done so many of these in wood, especially hemp wood, and I don't like using the wood ones in the shop because of things like we just saw, exploding bottles of polish and other nonsense. Because then even if you use a CA finish on the wood, you know, it's got, like, if you don't catch a spill right away or whatever, and I'm also always using CA, so I don't want to, like, get a big glob of CA on something. So I've actually been wanting to make an X-Acto for myself for the shop that was a resin, so that I could just wipe stuff off of it. Especially since I've been using so much friction polish these days, that it makes more sense for me to not use a wood one. And then this is the X-Acto I have been using because I didn't want to ruin a nice one by using it in the shop. But then I thought that's silly. I should just make one. So this is my mechanical pencil. I'm just wiping more polish off of things. So you know, I love you guys. I will take you over to the CNC room in half a second, but I just want to get this cleaned up because if I don't do it now, I will forget. And if I forget, it'll never get done. So, anybody have any other questions, comments, concerns, or queries? Offers of cash? I had a teacher that used to say that. All right. So, everything's out of the mug. Well, my mug will be nice and polished on the bright side. Yeah, that was, wow, what a mess. Alrighty. We do not have the SoCal Turner's Expo mugs available anymore, but we do make these same ones for Bullseye and Bow and Harrow, the finished products. So if you want a mug, that's where you can get one on any and all of our websites. We do have the Bullseye version. Oh, and I've got polishing shit all over me. I was like, wait, it's on my shirt? Oh god. It's everywhere. It literally went everywhere. Everywhere I look, there's more of it. Okay. This will never be completely cleaned up. So, we're just gonna have to move on with our lives. And I'll take you guys next door to the CNC room. And we can talk about what's going on in there. Alright. Cool, let's go. But, anywho, very happy with this. That came out great. And now it can go back in the cup because the cup is clean. Alrighty. So, CNC room. It's not going to look like a lot has changed since the last time you guys were in here. It's still a load of junk in here. Mostly because we're trying to figure out what tools we are going to need specifically for these machines, and that's going to go in this cabinet. And then this cabinet will go back into the other side of the shop. You can see that we started wiring all of our outlets, and back here you can see it. This is, to be clear, an incredibly tight fit. So in case you were wondering, but there we go. Our 220 and our 110. The 110 is for the computer, the 220 is for the machine itself. And obviously we have a little workstation back here for trying to actually run all of this, because it is a very tight squeeze and very warm and claustrophobic back there. So yeah, and then the lathe will be a lot easier, right? Because that's a lot more out in the open. And then I got, because I have to frame out that hole that we cut, I got a bunch of 2x4s to frame it out. And then I got some redwood 2x6 and redwood shiplap. And that is what we're going to make the doors out of. We're going to make these giant barn door style doors. And I got some really sexy hinges. Let me see if I can find those, because everything's everywhere right this second. I don't have the hinges, but I have the handles. So you can see these cool vintage looking handles. I have hinges that match. So that's where we're at with the CNC room. Tomorrow we're dropping the rest of the power lines. And this is Bowie. And Bowie's gonna help us, because she's perfect. And she is a good assistant. Oh, man, this chair just broke. That's a bummer. So yeah, that's what's going on here. And there's Bowie. And here comes the troublemaker. That's Juno. Hi, June. Juno, do you have anything to say to the people? Oh, that was rude. Oh, beautiful. They're both talkers, these two. You want to say anything, Bowie? Bowie, sit. Hi. Oh, jealous. So jealous. Thank you. So, yeah, guys, that's about it. I hope you all enjoyed the X-Acto and the shop tour. The shop is still in complete disarray from between cutting the hole in the wall and getting the machines in and then the rains. Yeah, everything has been a hot mess. But we're trying to take it one day at a time, one step at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither were we. So that's sort of my attitude about it right now. And hopefully by next week, I'll have a much bigger update for you guys, and maybe we'll even see some machines move. Fingers crossed. So, yeah, I think that's it. I love you guys a lot. Yeah, dog kisses. The dogs are amazing. And that's Penny. That's Penny over there, in case you've never met Penny. But, you know, the two big ones are definitely the attention hogs. So, all right, I appreciate you guys. I'm going to wrap it up. We'll catch you later. And I have to go food shopping. So, we'll see you later. All right, bye.